We've got some map bans coming in and out of here. We got 2 minutes Spider Queen getting banned out here by Imaginary Gaming. Elysium Gaming banning out Dragonshire and Garden of Terror. So we've got Blackhearts, Cursed Hollow, Haunted Mines, and Sky Temple. So we're not going to be seeing Tomb. Thank God.
Yeah, who's gonna budge first on banning out Blackhearts and Haunted Mines? Looks like Imaginary Gaming is gonna go ahead and ban out Blackhearts. No surprise there.
It's almost like a game of chicken.
Where
both of them are just like, I'm not going to ban Haunted Mines. Well, I'm not going to ban Haunted Mines either. Okay, fine. None of us are going to ban Haunted Mines. Crap, we're on Haunted Mines. Like, no one wins in this situation.
Yeah.
Well, somebody wins, obviously, but nobody wins in having to deal with drafting for Haunted Mines.
Yeah, no. All right, so Cursed Hollow and Sky Temple are going to be our last 2 picks here. I would love to see a Cursed Hollow game. I think the map is great. I think it's like one of my favorite maps ever. But it is going to be Sky Temple. So,
wow. So you're going to
right?
insert foot into mouth. That was unfortunate.
All right, so things to think about on Sky Temple. It's an absolutely huge map. Teams tend to favor having that sort of global presence at all times. But alternatively, if people were feeling a little bit risky, they could go promote if they wanted to. They could. But I think having that global presence is probably playing a more standard style might be where it's going to be for these 2 teams.
Yeah, I really like the standard style on Sky Temple. Though, I mean, we saw Tempo Storm go for that crazy promote strategy over here in NA. I don't know how the EU treats promote just yet. We haven't really seen too many games where they're really abusing the new promote feature, the new 30-second duration. But
the new feature.
The new feature. It's not a bug, it's a feature. But we've got some awesome setup here between Elysium and Imaginary. Both of these teams apparently have been fighting quite a bit in the team league, and they have a bit of a rivalry coming out between the 2 of them. Yeah, so this is actually where it gets a little bit more exciting, where we have 2 teams that are pretty well situated, and they have a rivalry, and they're both going for that spot in the Enter the Storm 2 tournament.
Wow, the 2 mage bands here. Banning out Jaina and Kael'thas. So we're looking for a little bit less of bursty compositions from these teams. They want to have as much sustain as possible, it looks like. First pick, Sylvanas, coming out from Imaginary Gaming. I don't think it's a bad pick. Sylvanas is really strong on pretty much any map, and it allows her to push a little bit as the rest of her team might be on the temples, or when people are splitting, she's going to be able to kind of be by herself. And because it's such a big map, the other team has to try to figure out a way to respond to her very quickly, which is tough because they have to travel so far to be able to do that. Yeah,
and really just in general, Sylvanas is really nice because of that Wailing Arrow. If the enemy team is situated on one of the shrines, that Wailing Arrow going on in there and just knocking everybody out of being able to cast for 2 seconds is massive.
Yeah.
It's a huge advantage for being able to get in there and really kind of break up that stronghold that they already have.
The ultimate engagement. You guys just aren't allowed to do anything for a couple seconds. You don't get any choices.
But, we were talking about Jaina and Kael'thas being banned out. 2 really strong AoE heroes, and those shrines are AoE nightmares. If a chain bomb goes off in the middle of that shrine, you are not going to be able to hold that for too long. If a blizzard goes down in the middle of that shrine, likewise, you just have to break up, and that allows the enemy team to be able to pick very, very nice targets in order to just kind of section off and single target one person down because they have to all dodge that AoE. Uther coming down here for Elysium, though, as well as Avala.
Yeah, I mean, Uther's really nice for being able to lock the enemy team down, which is especially good for someone like Sylvanas, whose only escape is kind of a channel. I don't want to call it a channel because it's not technically a channel, but it's a delayed escape, right? She has to shoot it off first, and if Uther can get a stun in on there, Sylvanas can be locked down anytime she comes out of position, and she won't be able to tap E again to kind of teleport away. So that's something to think about, and it also allows other possibilities. His healing is really good. He's got that lockdown, and the enemy team is going to follow up with a Nubarak, which is really, I mean, it looks like they're finding a lot of ways to engage here. A Nubarak going in with the burrow charge, and then the immediate follow up with Wailing Arrow. That's terrifying. That is a terrifying combination.
What I'm really interested in, we saw Elysium play last time without going for the crazy beetle build. Is a Nubarak this game going to be able to go for that beetle build? Because I feel like it's such a strong build on a map like Sky Temple. Like, maybe I'm just harping in on something that I'm really biased against, but I find that being able to get the healing bugs, as well as getting all of the everything else just about the Beatles, just constantly having that presence on the map, constantly having the NPCs on the shrines actually like re-engage and turn into something else, and being able to push on a map like this is incredibly important. So having that Beetle build on this map, I think, is going to be really nice. But who knows? Brightwing coming in as well, that's going to give that global promote as well as super, super strong healing, since we apparently have found a bug with a Brightwing. And it's not a Nubarak.
She heals herself twice as much as she's supposed to. It's only herself, though. It doesn't work on anybody else. But that just gives her that much more sustain. I mean, sustain wasn't really a problem with Brightwing before. I mean, especially because anytime that she gets a little bit low on mana, or anytime that she gets a little bit low on health, she can always just teleport back and then just, phase shift back out onto the field. So that's definitely not a problem. But, I mean, if she was good before, she's definitely good now. And picking Illidan is actually an interesting choice here. One, because it synergizes really well with Uther. Obviously, Divine Shield makes Illidan so scary to deal with. But also, Brightwing's an excellent pick against Illidan, because it means that anytime he tries to engage, he can get that Brightwing can get that polymorph off and kind of stop Illidan from doing a ton of damage immediately.
And Muradin coming in as well with the warrior pick for Elysium Gaming. Now that is an awesome pickup. I love Muradin. I love Muradin all the time, but he is going to be so nice against an Anubarak as long as he can section off Anubarak away from his beetles. If he can get that level 13 talent where it's 200% extra damage on the W, and Anubarak burrows in, and he's able to land it without actually hitting any of the other beetles, it's a lot of damage on the Anubarak. It locks down that Anubarak. It does a lot to dissuade Anubarak from being able to go straight on in. Sergeant Hammer!
What?
Sergeant Hammer!
What am I experiencing right now?
Sergeant Hammer!
That's awesome. That's an interesting pick. How does this fit into their comp right now? What does this allow them to do? Is it just being able to sit back and shell down onto a temple? Is it being able to push?
I don't.
What does this do?
Well, it shoots. It shoots punches. That's what it does. It's a Sergeant Hammer. It shoots things.
I haven't casted a hammer in I don't know how long. It's been ages.
I still love Sergeant Hammer. I think she's a really, really strong ranged assassin. I think she is. I think she's one of the best, especially because look at who's banned. Two people who can burst down Sergeant Hammer immediately. They have an Illidan, they have a Vala. Those are two people who are going to have a little bit of trouble trying to kill Sergeant Hammer in a half a second. And you need to, because Sergeant Hammer is wily. She's got so many different ways to get out of situations. She's got her Z, her boosters. She's got her W, which is her concussive blast. She can pick up mines, which slow everybody down. She's like, anytime she picks up a new ability, she just becomes stronger and stronger. And there's so many different ways to build her. She's so versatile. Doesn't matter how. You can throw down all these mines. You can get the minefield at level 16. Illidan jumps in, and 5 mines just gank him. And it just ridiculously reduces his life and his ability to move around.
So would you say that Imaginary Games has gone triple tank?
I would in fact say that Imaginary Games, that did not take a lot of imagination there, Tom.
No.
Oh, you want to turn this around? You want to turn this around? You know who you're dealing with?
Yeah, a noob, Iraq. Trying to call you a noob.
Yeah, she kind of failed at that.
Yeah, I mean, didn't go well.
That's okay.
Anyways, the final pick from Elysium. They only have a few seconds left to be able to lock it down. What's going to complement the rest of their team comp, Sham?
They need another ranged. They need another ranged or another tank, another warrior, because there's already one tank and it's already picked up by Imaginary. So they're going to go for range, which I can see it, especially when you're not going against Kel'Thas or Jaina. You don't really need the double warrior composition, or you don't have it on your side. Like, either way, like if you're going against it or you have it on your side, a double warrior is really great to just kind of dissuade or really help out that mage in the back line, just do so much damage. Going for it with the Sergeant Hammer is going to be the mage here, even though it's a tank. Shut up. And that I think is going to be, I think that's going to be how they're going to play this style. Is just have ETC, have a Nubarak, guard the hammer sits in the back line, does a lot of damage. If Illidan goes in, they just turn around on Illidan. They've got a lot of ways to deal with Illidan. They've got the Q on Sylvanas, which is going to cut straight through his evasion. They've got Sergeant Hammer's mines as before. They've got Polymorph. They've got Anubarak. They've got, ETC Power Slide. They have so much CC in order to deal with that Illidan. Past that, Elysium is just going to have to chip away at everybody else because Brightwing isn't good at spot healing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because Elysium actually has a decent amount of lockdown too. Muradin's kind of a stun machine. Uther has really, really great stuns, and if they can find a way to kind of utilize that CC to be able to line people up for Falstad's ult, or just to get in and lock down Hammer, I mean, they have some potential in the team fight situation. But I think I actually like Imaginary Gaming's team fight better than I like Elysium's right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree there. Right now, I think Imaginary's just really strong ability to be so ranged and just kind of chip away with having that massive wall in between their ranged and the rest of the enemy team. It's going to be such a huge dissuasion for Illidan to jump in, especially because they only have an Uther. They don't have a ton of healing in order to keep that Illidan alive.
All right, so it's going to be Sky Temple, as we mentioned just a few moments ago. And both of these teams, as we were saying, know each other very well. They're practice partners. They have a little bit of a rivalry between them. So I think this game right here is going to be one of the most exciting games of the bracket, I think. And this is a best of one, so they only get one shot. It's not like if these teams are pretty evenly matched, it's gonna be a draw as to who comes out ahead. So I'm super psyched for it.
We say that the draft is really could be up to about 60% of the persuasion of who's going to win the map. Right now, I have to hand that over to Imaginary. I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Imaginary's drafting is really, really strong. The Double Warrior meta has kind of been jumping back and forth between a lot of different regions. We actually saw China being using the Double Warrior meta for quite a bit. Now it's starting to pop up over into the NA, and now we're starting to see it even in the EU. I haven't actually noticed if the EU has been using it for longer than the NA, but I know that China was the first adopter for it.
Right, and it fell out of style, and now it's back in style. It's kind of going this sort of back and forth, that ever-shifting meta, kind of always responding to itself, which is really, really neat to see. Elysium's going to need to find a way to put out a lot of damage if they want to take out either ETC or Anubarak at any point during this game, because they both have insane health pools. Anubarak with not the highest, but up there. He's tanky.
He is. He's pretty tanky, especially when he gets his
heal going,
his beetles or his shields or whatever he wants to go for.
Passive heal on top of that.
Yeah, right. So he's gonna be almost like an impassable wall. It's gonna be almost impossible to kill him or ETC. The question is whether or not they can take out Sylvanas and Sergeant Hammer in the back line.
Yeah. And ETC is actually interesting. People go in the Q build, going for Power Slide, especially because later on Power Slide becomes so useful with if he goes Mosh Pit, which is not likely on this map. Obviously, the global presence is what they're after. But I mean, if they think that they can take team fights a little bit stronger, then they're going to be sure to be using Mosh Pit. But if they want to be playing like less team fighty and more kind of all around the map, which is what Brightwing kind of lends herself to, we can definitely see that stage dive coming up, which is going to be more tactically useful.
Yeah, but unctuous.
But unctuous. What?
Torbus.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. And I agree with all of your points. But Torbus.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on into the main screen. Spawning over here on the left-hand side, it is IMG. On the blue side, Donaton on the Sergeant Hammer. Takuzan on the Brightwing. Q on Sylvanas. On Yuki is going to be ETC, or the other way around. And Arakeen, a Dune reference, man after my own heart, is going to be Anubarak, which is funny because scarabs and sand and everything else.
And on the other side of the map, it is Elysium Gaming. Wizak on Falstad, Mondirk on Muradin. On Uther we have Ashbringer. And then who have I missed? On Vala, we have Full Metal, and on Falstad, who's flying. Oh, I already introduced Falstad, didn't I? Did I miss somebody? Who did I miss?
I don't
on
think
Illidan,
so.
Nevermore BG.
Oh, okay. I see Full Metal, and for some reason, I can't think that's not a Nazebo. For some reason, for 80 seconds of the beginning intro there, even though it's only been 20 seconds that we've got into this game, I keep seeing a Nazebo out of that. Anyway, we've got both our teams now starting to spill into their different sides. Falstad taking the bot lane, which is an interesting thing to point out because he can just immediately fly up and soak a little bit more experience once those shrines pop up.
Yeah, I think that's good. Just that mobility is so nice to have. I mean, especially going up against a team like ETC and Brightwing, being able to have like counter mobility is going to be really, really important for them. And it's nice that they put Brightwing in a lane with a couple of other teammates, because a lot of times you'll see Brightwing in the bottom lane for the blue team, but they've actually said, you know what, it's okay that we can put a non-mobile character in the bottom lane. It means that Brightwing's less likely to get ganked, which is always a problem because her lack of instant mobility, and it allows this push to be that much stronger with Sylvanas in the top lane.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting? Take a look at the talents real quick here, Tom. We've got double block coming out here. What's really, really strong on both the enemy team? Auto attacks. We've got a Sergeant Hammer and we've got a Sylvanas who's probably going to go for follow through or Remorseless, which is what her version of it is at level 7.
Yeah,
this is a really nice pickup for them.
Thoughtful. I mean, just smart. All right, so Illidan getting on Donatan right now, just a little bit. Donatan. And but no, he will be able to get away. He did get enough damage to force the move back for the tap, so that he had to tap to be able to try to get into this temple. But it is 3-on-3 in this top lane right now. I mean, it looks like Donatan finally getting back in, dealing some damage to Uther and Illidan. I love this. This is just so pokey. Both teams, no team is really trying to hard engage until just now. Nevermore moving in, not going to be able to do enough damage to get a kill off of it, and he actually took way more than he was intending.
Yeah, both these teams have taken a lot of damage, but just with that passive healing of Brightwing, it's just too much to deal with, especially with level 4 now going on over to the blue team. The middle shrine is under contest. It looks like the blue team had it for a little bit, but Monarch was able to push off Yuki for the time being. Falstad and Anubrak still going back and forth in the bot lane. Level 4 still has not been grabbed here by the red team.
Yeah, just now going to be able to get it. We're going to check out what kind of talents they're going for.
Oh, you have that working now? You got that?
Yeah, I do. I do. It's beautiful and it's so convenient. Oh man, Ollie, what a good guy.
What a great guy. He's able to
saving esports.
Saving esports every single time.
Yeah. All right. Oh, a good big stun going down on ETC. Nevermore trying to move in, and Muradin coming in from the back line as well. Nevermore moving forward, just about to go down though. The Venom coming from Sylvanas just destroyed him immediately. And wow, Muradin actually getting a little bit ahead of himself. He is going to fall as well.
Wow, IMG taking this game so incredibly strong. The tank doing so much work here. Going to be able to back up here. Full Metal trying to take him out, but it's not successful. Q now going straight in on that tower. Going to be able to take that down. And they've got this shrine. Takuzan able to hold everything, getting the last 5 bullets off, and they are doing a ridiculous amount of damage in this early game. 6-5, but both these teams are just about to hit their next levels. But level 7 is going to be the big one.
Oh yeah, that big talent spike, the spike of power that you get right off the bat is really, really valuable for that level 7, and that can propel you forward to that level 10 lead as well. But we see that they're actually keeping 3 people in the top lane here to kind of match against Sylvanas and get this pushback, which I think is a little bit intriguing, because really the next tower, the next temple, which they have some time to think about, is going to be in the bottom lane. Now it would be interesting, and I think probably favored for either team to go for the bruisers in just a matter of moments here, because having that pressure in the top lane while the bottom temple is spawning is really, really valuable, and it means that the other team has to respond to it unless they're getting their own bruisers. And we actually do see ETC and Hammer here going for the bruisers on the left side of the map.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they need to do. They need to start getting some of these mercenary camps to start pushing, to really push that advantage, push the map presence that they already have. Look at Wizak of Mass. He has to stay behind the gate to fend off these siege giants. These siege giants are just getting so much free damage off this tower. And you know what? With these bruisers going to be coming on in as soon as the 4:30 mark hits, that's going to mean that the second shrine should be spawning at about 5 minutes. Is going to be a little bit difficult for them to deal with, because they've got a Brightwing and bruisers pushing in this top lane. That's going to be a free fort unless there's some sort of body in the top lane to hold that off. And if they have people in the top lane, Brightwing teleports bot lane, and that's going to be a 5v4.
They're actually going in for a steal here. Yuki's power sliding forward, but getting way out of position from his team. Brightwing actually goes in here, but not a great call. Brightwing gets he's going to get killed as well. So that's a 2-0 trade. ETC and Brightwing both going down. It was a good idea, really poorly executed though. Hammer wanted to shell away, but they couldn't get enough damage as Illidan came up behind her and then ultimately flipped in into the fight as well. So a little bit of a rough situation, especially as this temple is spawning.
That's going to be really, really nice for them. It's going to just allow them to kind of start setting up for this next temple. It's actually given them a little bit of that experience to get back into this fight. Right now, we've got a pretty good setup here, though, for the blue team. They're starting to have everybody over here. Brightwing going to start pushing into top lane. Nevermore trying to go in there. I don't know if he's going to be able to do too much, Looks like Wizik is going to be able to get some damage in, but he's taking damage himself, and they've got to back up just for a couple of seconds. They have to get into this fight. They have to start snowballing this before Brightwing starts teleporting in, but Brightwing able to hold off that Bruiser top lane.
Yeah, this is an intriguing situation. I mean, we have our blue team about to get 10, which means that the red team needs to make a move now or never. Once their opponents get 10, they can't move in. Illidan actually moving forward, trying to take out the ETC, and they're trying to get a couple of shots off, but this is a dangerous spot. The enemies have 10. They need to back off. Vala actually getting a lot of damage done to her, but yeah, no, they kind of need to give up this temple, soak up, make sure that they have 10 before anything else happens in this game.
This is really unfortunate for them. That's a huge amount of temple shots that are going to be going on into that mid lane. The bot lane has already fallen as well, and with that level 10 advantage, and Brightwing just constantly soaking in this top lane this entire time, it only concatenates their lead. There's the middle shrine going down as well. Donatan now trying to do as much as can, but Monderkay coming in and trying to do as much damage on Donatan, but it's just not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, now it's level 11, almost level 12 to level 10 here. I mean, they need to get 10 as quickly as possible, because the longer they wait, the more problems that they're going to have. In fact, their opponent's even solidifying an experience lead. Level 10 is gotten, though. Murden's going to hop right in, try to get that stun on Sergeant Hammer, and it will happen. Oh, but the stun's on Illidan, counteracting his damage, the damage that can be done to the tank, and Erikin getting very, very low, but a shield goes off, saving him from Falstad's ult, and that's going to be a 5-3 lead here, as far as our blue team is concerned.
And Ashburger gonna get caught after the web wrap. He's gonna go down. Yuki is on fire with the CC. The Wailing Arrow to finish off at the last second on the Falstad. And oh my god, Imaginary Gaming playing so strong.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Uther's Ghost just had to stand there and watch it all happen. He's just standing, watching the towers go down, completely helpless. Murden going in once again, gonna see if he can try to pick up some sort of stun, maybe get a kill on him. Illidan moving forward, but no, the wall, there's a really comfortable wall there with Brightwing and Sylvanas just trying to deal that extra damage to Polymorph, and of course, the Sylvanas' Q is just going to eat away at his health very, very early, especially being a full talent up.
Alright, so they're gonna come on over here. They're gonna just press that map advantage that they have. They have level 13. Look at this. They've got so much coming in terms of just those raw talents alone. Sylvana's going to be a little bit harder to pick up because of the level 13 talent, where it makes it a little bit quicker. Phase shield on the Brightwing, so anytime she split pushing comes into the fight, somebody's going to get a massive shield. Giant Killer on the Sergeant Hammer. I mean, just all of these abilities just make them stronger and stronger. More power sliding coming out from the ETC. We're going to be going on to that tour bus later on. I'm going to be so excited. And then Burning Rage coming out on the Anubarak, as always, with the Beetle build.
Alright, so it looks like our blue team's just going to back off. They want to make sure they can get the mercs. They want to pressure their opponent's lanes while the temples are up. I mean, it seemed like they were considering going for the boss for a moment, which they could feasibly at least try to bait out because their opponents are so far behind in experience. But it's also a dangerous position to be in. Oh, it looks like we have a big fight about to start here. Burden actually out of position. Huge metamorphosis into the middle of all the squishies, and a really great raining vengeance from Vala here. I mean, these guys are just trading blows. The Emerald Gust trying to come down to push people away, but it's a huge wipe once again. 14-11 here. I mean, what can you do when you're that far behind? You can't really comfortably take an engagement when your entire enemy team is full on health and full on mana.
You have to be really scared when your enemy team is sitting at an advantage. You have to know where they are. You have to go for the opposite objective if you can't take them in a fight, so you can't really go to where they are. So they could have just gone for the top shrine possibly, but they were just engaged upon so incredibly quickly, and that's the power of having Erikin and Yuki on the Anubarak, on the ETC as well. It just allows them to be the ability to just kind of engage very quickly and just stop anybody from getting away from anything. The keep looks like it's going to go down here. Meanwhile, Monderkay is going to go up to that top shrine. He's going to try and get a couple of those shots off, possibly start trying to do whatever work he can. He's going to have to deal with, you know, the NPCs over at that top shrine. But meanwhile, the rest of the blue team coming on in here, going to pick up the Vala on the red team, and the EGW just looking at it a little bit in a really bad spot, actually.
Yeah. Now it's level 16. They're a full 2 talent tiers above their opponent. This is the hardest kind of push to put off. I mean, like you said, Murden's going to be able to get a lot of the shots off on this top tower, but meanwhile, the entire enemy team is barreling down the top lane, just going to go ahead and try to take this keep. That's going to put them even further ahead in experience, and it's going to be constant pressure on every single lane. I mean, what can Elysium possibly do here to try to come back?
Helicopter going over my house right now. I don't know why, but there's a massive helicopter going over my house. But anyway, there's not really much that they can do here. They've got all of their keeps down. They don't really have much that they can really defend here, and that's the biggest issue here. They're losing so much. Their core is going down. They've got the Sergeant Hammer in the back line, and again, this is what I was talking about at the drafting. They've got this Anubarak and the ETC acting as this massive wall. There's the mosh pit to lock up the last two members here of Elysium while they just wail down on this core.
I love the web wrap. Like that's just the cheekiest little thing that they can add in at the end as Sergeant Hammer continues to barrel down. Now 20%, 10%. That's going to be it. Now this is a best of one and single elimination, and that means that Imaginary is going to be able to move on to the next, to the next match, and hopefully have a chance at that best of three final to go ahead and enter themselves into that $5,000 tournament. Enter the Storm number 2. Wow. I mean, that was a quick game. A 10-minute Sky Temple game, just so dominant in every way in the last match.
Really well played there. I mean, that's going to be just how they're going to possibly just go straight